Okay, we're gonna get started. Welcome, guys. So, like I said just a few minutes ago, I've got an online audience and an in-person audience. So if you guys see me looking off a little bit, that is probably why. But I have a really exciting session today. It's going to be pretty jam-packed. So I'm going to reward the people that did show up on time. And then if anyone wanted to come a little bit later, then we will get to them. But for those of my online people, I am Katelyn Fulton with Century 21 Percy Fulton in Toronto in Durham. And we're going to be talking all about systems and strategies. You guys know I'm a nerd for systems and all that, which is kind of boring, but with open houses, I think this is a more exciting system to talk about. So we're going to talk, do any of you guys, I've got my online or my in-person people, are you guys doing open houses right now, or are we thinking about doing open houses as part of the thinking strategy? Okay. So hopefully I can convince you that this is a good strategy for your business this year. Some people don't like to do them. We used to do them a lot in our past. I swear we did them every single weekend when we started. So if you're a brand new agent, great strategy. If you're just getting started, don't know a lot of people, and you want people to come to you. If you're experienced and you have listings, this is also a really great strategy. We were talking to one of our top agents at the Monday meeting this week, and he gets a lot of business from open houses, and he's been doing this for 30 plus years. So it's not a strategy that he really gave up. He's still doing it, and it's still a way that he immerses himself in the community, as well as how he gets to know sellers, how he sells his own listings. He's able to sell them properly because he knows the property really well. So I know it's a strategy that works. It's traditional, it's old school. So some of the stuff that I'm going to teach you guys, it's not going to be real rocket science, but maybe it'll kind of motivate you guys to have some fun with it. So let's get started. And if you guys have questions, I'm okay answering them throughout the presentation. So you don't have to wait till the very end. So if you guys want to put your hands up or go in the chat, I am more than happy to answer it. I'll try to keep track of it. I don't know if Carly, are you on the chat at all? I don't think you're on it, right? I'll keep it up here, and then I'll look at it every once in a while. If I forget your question, then it's because it's not popping up, but you can ask me anything you guys want if it comes about. So here we go. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to first talk about what is an open house. I think we all kind of have an idea, but we're going to talk about what an open house is, how you can make this a business model. I'm going to talk about how to prepare for the open house. So the pre-event planning, during the open house, the presentation, as well as post-event follow-up. So there is strategies to this. And I'm going to tell you what I see a lot of agents, what mistakes they do, and how you guys can actually make it worth your time when you are hosting these. So what is an open house? It is an event. I want to call it an event. It's an event where a property is made available for viewings by potential buyers or sellers, or agents that have potential buyers. So this could also be, you could do brokers opens where you're just inviting agents into a house. We see this a lot in our luxury market, where people will bring in a lot of agents to come see their house before they hit the market, get their opinion on pricing. Maybe they have off-market clients, but we do see this a lot in our luxury market where people will do a brokers open. But where the most common one you're going to see is when we're inviting the public. So hopefully we're looking for buyers, but what a lot of people forget about is the seller potential as well. So it's typically an event that's advertised in advance, hopefully, to attract more visitors to come to it. So our objective, there's a couple of objectives. So one, yes, the main objective is to hopefully sell that home that you're in. But that's not always the case, because not everyone that's coming in is a serious buyer. Some of them aren't even buyers. Some of them are nosy neighbors. So the other objective is, if you can't sell that house, we want to convert the people that are coming in into clients. So if you've got, let's say you've got neighbors coming in, this is a great opportunity for them to get to know you, see what you do, how you host an open house, and show them what you would do if their house was on the market. And if you do find potential sellers, your whole goal is to book a listing appointment with them or do an equity check, which is just to let them know how much equity they have in their home. So that would be the goal with the sellers. So a lot of people, when they say they don't want to do open houses because there's nosy neighbors, that's a great person to come into the house. We want those nosy neighbors because we want to ultimately list another house. When that house sells, we want to reach out to them and say, hey, we sold this house. Are you thinking about selling as well? This was the results that we got. We can do the same for you. So a lot of people forget about the seller potential on this. The other one, which most commonly is looking for buyers. So maybe that house was not necessarily for them to purchase. Maybe they didn't like it, but we could book a buyer consultation. Maybe you want to invite them to a buyer seminar that you have planned. So the whole point is to try to find buyers as well for not just that home, but also another home that may better suit them. So these are really great opportunities for you guys to find clients. And a lot of people just think that the whole point is to show up to that house 2 to 4, sell that house, nobody liked it, and then they move on with their day. And they're missing an entire strategy of this entire business model. So hosting an open house should be a business strategy. So we should be treating this like a business and not a punishment. Because I think a lot of people think of it as like Saturday, Sunday, 2 to 4, like how boring, what a punishment. I don't want to be here. But if we can start to switch your mindset to think about it as this is what I'm going to do as a business, and this is what I'm going to do to get clients, it's going to change your mind in the way that you're actually going to host these open houses. So that's not just the typical way that an agent would do it, which we're going to talk a lot about. So think of this as a different business strategy and not a punishment. So why should we have these as a strategy? So that for me, I think there's multiple reasons. These were the main ones that came to my mind. But what I like about the open house strategy is the fact that it mixes a bunch of different activities. So it has so many different prospecting and marketing activities that you can mix in. So when people say, oh, like, let's go door knocking, they're just door knocking your random neighborhood, or maybe we're doing online social media advertising, or maybe you're cold calling and you're just throwing out like, hey, do you want to sell a house? Do you want to buy a house? But when you have an open house, it's a much more warmer way of doing prospecting because you're going to be going up to the neighbors. You're going to be doing some door knocking. You're going to say, hey, do you want, like, I'm inviting you to my open house, or hey, this house sold. When you're doing your online marketing, again, you're promoting an event. So it's just a different way of mixing in prospecting. And I'm going to talk about different online and offline ways to do these. But I like open houses because they mix in so many different strategies that are both old school and new school. And that way you're doing something always every single week for your business. And I'm also going to be giving you guys a weekly setup, what your week should look like if you're going to add this as one of your strategies. The other thing is people come to you. So instead of you waiting for your phone to ring all day in the office, people are coming to your open house if you're doing it properly. So if you're not getting anyone at your open house, there's a high chance that we're not doing it properly. But I like open houses, especially if you're a more passive person, because now buyers and sellers are coming to you. And you're obviously going to be doing some reach out as well, but it's just a more comforting way to run your business. You're also going to be meeting lots of people. So you're going to have extra people to add to your database. And I talked a little bit about this at our Monday meeting, how when you're adding to your database, people probably, like whenever we say call your database, people think I'm always just talking about your friends, your family, your colleagues, people that you directly know. But that's when you first start. When you first start, yes, your database is going to consist of just that type of sphere. But when you're hosting open houses, you're doing sign-in sheets, right? And you got a whole list of people that you are now adding to your database. And this is when I say go back to your database. Maybe you have a house that pops up in that area and you remember these people came to your open house in that area. Now you have another house to send to your database and you're communicating with them. So we're going to talk about your database as well, but now you're just meeting a whole new set of people. So if you don't have a big network or you don't know a lot of people, hosting open houses is a really great way to start adding new people to your database and getting to know people on a different level. And of course, you're going to be meeting people in the neighborhood. So especially if it's an area that you wanted to farm, maybe you were interested in working downtown, or maybe it was Pickering, or you're interested in farming an area. Now you're immersing yourself in a home in your farming area, and you're going to actually start to get to know some of the neighbors and start getting them to know your face as well. So it's a really strong way to really put your name out there as well. Got some in the chat. Oh yeah, that's you. Okay. Perfect. So if you're hosting open houses and you're only getting a few people through your open house, I can guarantee that there's a high chance that you're not doing it right. And when I say you're not doing it right, I'm thinking of like agents that are like, okay, it's Thursday afternoon. I've got nothing planned this weekend. Someone puts in the WhatsApp chat, hey, I've got an open house. Who wants to do it? You put your hand up, you show up Saturday, Sunday, 2 to 4, you put your signs in, you open the door, there's your open house, right? And then you're like, wow, no one came. And I'm going to guarantee there was a high chance that you didn't do it the correct way. I see some heads nodding right now. Does that sound kind of correct? Because we get it a lot. We have our WhatsApp chat where agents are always posting on it. And I always find it's last minute. It's always like Thursday, Friday. someone's looking for an open house. And that to me says that there's not someone in our office that is proactively reaching out to these people asking to do open houses. We're just waiting for something to pop up. You decided you weren't busy and I'm going to host an open house. But if you are doing this correctly, I could say that you would make probably $200,000 to $500,000 a year if you're doing it correctly. Now I'm saying that based on you're going to be hosting 2 open houses a month, 1 new client. That's with about 20 to 30 clients from each weekend. And then you should at least, of those 20 to 30 from each open house, you should at least get 1 client from that. If you're doing that every month, you should at least get 12 new clients a month. And then from those people, hopefully you're tapping into their databases and their network. So maybe you only get 12 clients for doing open houses each year, but hopefully those turn into some referral partners and all of that. So I was reading this, I went to, where were we? Just Realtor Quest? Realtor Quest. This is what one of the ladies was saying. Actually, she said 300,000 to 600,000. I kind of tapped it back a little bit, but I do think just the way that she was explaining it as well, if you're doing it the right way, you should easily get 1 client a month if you're doing 2 open houses each month as well. So we're not saying you need to do it every weekend, but maybe you're putting it in every other weekend, but you're going to be doing the strategies that I'm going to teach you guys today. Does that make sense to you guys? It sounds like a lot of money to me, especially if you're just starting and you're like, hey, I need to make some money. The strategies I'm doing right now aren't working. What else can I do? So let's talk about what to do for the preparation before the open house. So again, this is an event. So we want to invite people to come to the event. We want to host the event, and then we want to do a follow-up of the event. So let's talk about what we can do to actually get people in the door. So there's 2 different ways. So for step 1, we need to choose an open house. And this is going to be a weekly strategy, right? So you're never going to be like, okay, I'm going to host this open house this month. Like usually these are last minute strategies. So you almost have to clear out your weekends that you know you're going to do it. And then on Monday, you need to strategize that this is going to be part of your process. But obviously the best way to choose an open house would be to have your own listing, and you want to host your open house that way. This is exactly why we talk about the list to last scenario. It's not because you just got a listing. Now you've got this opportunity to host this big event at your listing. Now you're going to meet potential buyers to maybe bring a buyer into your listing. If they don't want your listing, now you're going to go take them to another house and help them buy. The other way is now you've got your sign in the yard. The neighbors are going to see it. They're going to come. Now you've got potential seller clients. So when we talk about list to last, this is why, because listings bring up so many really great opportunities. Whereas when you're a buyer's agent, you're nowhere to be seen, right? When that sold sign goes up, it's not like they stick your face under it and they say like represented the buyer. That would be nice if we had that, but no one knows who you are. So that's why these listings are really important to have, because it gives you this opportunity to bring in so much more business. If you don't have an open house, the other way would be to host another broker or another agent's listing or another agent's listing open house, right? Where I see the downfall, where a lot of agents go, is the passive approach. And this is where you may see a message from management. You may see an agent post in the WhatsApp group, and they say, hey, I've got an open house. Can you host it? And I find that this is where most agents are failing, because they're waiting for like these little messages to be thrown into the group. The other thing I see a lot of agents do is they'll put themselves in the WhatsApp group and they'll say, hey, I'm available for an open house this weekend. Does anyone have something? And then all of a sudden 10 new messages go by. No one sees that, right? No one's going to be like, hey, oh, Juliana 3 weeks ago said to reach out if she ever had an open house. Seems great. And I see it all the time, but like that agent is not going to remember it. They're just going to stick it in the chat and see who puts their hand up first. So if I were an agent that wanted to take this approach, I would do the more proactive approach, which is going like every day you guys get the daily list of listings, right? That pop up in the brokerage from Broker Bay, right? I would be on that email list every day and be like, there's a listing I like, reach out to that agent, say, hey, I would like to host an open house. Can I do it? And I would be reaching out to those. The other option would be to go on MLS, look up Percy Fulton listings or whichever brokerage you're with. And again, reach out directly to that agent and ask if you can host the open house. That would be the more effective way of doing it versus waiting for some opportunities to hit you, because then you're not giving yourself that opportunity to do it properly. So we're just passively waiting instead of proactive. Of course, there's going to be some agents that are like, nope, I'm going to do my own open house. Fair enough. Or you may run into a bigger team that they host their open houses. And I've heard agents get rejected by one agent and then they'll never ask an agent again because they're embarrassed that they got rejected. Do not be embarrassed. This is just, they're either doing it or someone from the team is doing it, or another agent already got it. But I would still be messaging all of them as soon as they hit the market. The best ones are obviously the fresh listings that are just hitting, or a cheaper listing, one that's really well done. Obviously, those are the most ideal open houses to do versus ones that have been on the market for some time. Those ones aren't as good, but if you can really do a good job at marketing it, then you may be able to. Are you saying, yes, you can host someone else's open house? So if someone in, I believe, Claire, what are the Tressa rules? I know that we're seeing this a lot on some of the groups, is you can only host open houses now with Tressa if it's part of your brokerage, from what I understand, versus another brokerage. Great question, because you're either a designated agent or the brokerage is the designated brokerage. So I don't really know what the rules are if you're hosting another brokerage's open house. Yeah. Yeah, so check your local board. Here, we prefer you to host the open house in your brokerage. Yeah, exactly. So some brokers might not even let you. So it just depends. Brokerage policy. So check your brokerage policy before you guys go calling outside brokerages, but keep it within the brokerage if you can. All right, so what is the best day and time to host an open house? I would say, oh, I didn't even do a slide. I would say the best time is when the public already knows that open houses are happening. So Saturday, Sunday, 2 to 4, that would be probably your most ideal time because that's when the public typically knows that there's open houses. But I also would encourage you guys to be different as well. Like maybe a Thursday night, like a 6:30 to 8:30 open house, or if you have nothing else to do during the week, why not do an open house at that listing every single night and just have an open hour, open 2 hours every single night? You sit at your listing, invite the neighbors to come over. Maybe people come, maybe people don't. But if you're not doing anything else, maybe it's during the day. But like, don't think it always has to be Saturday, Sunday. If maybe you're busy, but you've got a listing, why not try to do it during the week? I don't know, Carly, I know we had an agent that did one during the week last week. She had some people through it, right? Were they mostly neighbors, or because sometimes, especially in the summertime, sometimes buyers and sellers aren't available on evenings or on the weekends because they're at the cottage or the weather's nice. The last thing they wanted to be doing is an open house in the beaches. Perfect. So we had an agent in a more downtown area, so she was able to bring some more people in during the week. So don't be scared to try different things and try to get people maybe on a Thursday night and do the weekend, but have some fun with it. But I would say obviously the most ideal would be on the typical days, Saturday, Sunday. If you do one 1 to 3, what if the public didn't know and then they showed up at like 3 o'clock when your open house is done because the other neighbors? So I would also go based off of the local or all the other competitors in your area that are currently on the market, see when they're hosting theirs, and then see if you guys can all do it at the same time so that you guys can at least take advantage of each other's visitors. Perfect. So maximizing the impact. So don't just show up for the open house. So what I see a lot of our agents do, or not even just our agents in general, what they're going to do is they'll sign up for an open house. They show up the day of, and then they just sit in the kitchen and they wait for people to come. I would say that's a waste of your time. If you're going to do an open house, we should do it the proper way, where we're actually inviting people to come and being proactive about getting people. So we need to treat it like an event and try to promote as many people to get through the door as possible. So again, this is where a lot of the agents fail. Otherwise, you're just going to waste your weekend and pray that people show up for it. So these are the different methods. I only picked a few because I really don't think it's like rocket science on how to get people to get there, but the offline methods would be door knocking. We talked about it on Monday as well with one of our agents, and they still do it to this day, but I would be going to the neighbors and inviting them to come with door hangers, maybe invite them to a VIPs. Like I know when us sisters used to host our open houses, we used to do them 1 to 4. And we would door knock the area. We'd go talk to the neighbors. We'd invite them to come for the VIP open house, which was from 1 to 2 o'clock. And then the public open house would be 2 to 4. And that was actually our strategy to figure out who was actually a seller in the area. It really allowed us to be like, okay, if anyone's coming from 1 to 2, we know they're a neighbor because we invited them for that specific time. It was also a way for us to tell the sellers, because sometimes your sellers put their backs against the wall because they don't want the neighbors coming in. So sometimes a way to get away from that is say, okay, well, we're going to host a VIP open house so that your neighbors, when they come in, they're going to come from 1 to 2. And we know that they're not serious buyers. So we can separate them from the serious buyers and focus on 2 to 4 with them. And then if anyone wants to come peek around from 1 to 2, then they can come on their own and then we don't have to pay attention to them. But your clients don't know that the open house is actually for you. It's not really to sell the home. It's actually for you to find clients. So if you can sell it to them that way, then they feel a little bit more comfortable about hosting an open house, knowing that you're going to keep track, you're only going to pay attention to the buyers. But really, in reality, we really do want those sellers. So that's the way that you can do that. The other way, if you don't want to door knock, maybe the weather's bad, you can do calling. So some of us, we've got access to the do not call list. If you're one of our agents, we do have access to it. Of course, not everyone uses landlines anymore. So I actually do think the best approach would be going straight to the door because we know they've got there. I would have door hangers or some sort of invitation to give them. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how you guys can do that as well. Anyone else have any different offline? Is there any offline strategies? I feel like those are the main ones. Yeah. We'll go to online. We'll go to online strategies. Yeah. So I think the best online strategies would be through social media. And this is a great opportunity, not only for, it's not going to say everyone's going to be on your social media and then go to your open house from it. This is your opportunity to show your audience what you do to promote people to come to your open house. This is a marketing thing. So I used to go on there and be like, hey guys, I'm hosting an open house from 2 to 4 on Saturday, Sunday. Come on out. And then this is when I was brand new, right? Like I wasn't selling any houses, but it made my friends and family feel like I was busy because I was doing open houses. I was promoting them. I was showing myself at the open house. And then they saw us door knocking, inviting people, and we would document everything and post it onto all of our platforms. So Instagram, Facebook, I think we even did LinkedIn for a bit. TikTok wasn't around when we first started, but we would always be talking about this open house that we were hosting just to show our friends that we were working because we wanted our friends to work with us eventually. So it's a great marketing tool for you, whether people come or not. It's a great thing to show what you do when you have a listing. So you can do a post, you can do a reel. When we had a really good, do you guys remember our Rougemount agent open house? We had 79 people come to that, which was crazy. What we did was we created a reel where Paige opened the door and we were like, hey, you're invited. And we think we posted it as a reel, but we actually DM'd that reel out to every agent that was in the area to get people to come into it. So sometimes if you guys are doing agent open houses, it's a really great idea to make a post and directly DM it to people. Same thing with your post. If you know you've got a friend in the area, say, hey, I'm having an open house. Let your friends know if you know anyone looking to go. So don't be scared to make a post or some sort of ad and directly message people to come to your open house or send it to their friends and family. The other way is to do paid ads. So if you do a post, you can boost it so that anyone in that area, you can target it a postal code. So you can actually do it all online as well. So those are just some of the different ways that you can do that. Email marketing as well. So don't be scared. Hopefully you guys have an agent database. So you can send it out to agents, say, hey, because sometimes you are looking for just the buyer for your listing. So you can send it to the agent, say, hey, I'm having an open house. If you've got some clients, maybe you guys can pop by or book a private showing, or you can send it out to your client database as well, again, to show them all the different strategies that you're going to do. If they ever decide to sell, you're showing them the hustle that you're going to do to get people to come in as well. So those are the two methods. Not a lot, right? Just door knocking, some social media posts, and some emails. These are very simple strategies. I would do both online and offline. Offline would be more for the neighbors and the sellers. And then the social media would be more for your own database and then potential buyers. And then, of course, the best online one is realtor.ca, right? So sometimes we send you guys out an email, I think every Thursday. Does it still go out, Car? Thursday? Every Thursday, we actually send you guys an email reminding you to manage my profile or add your open house because this is for Ontario at least, but in Ontario, you actually have to put it on manage my profile, or I think it changed now, but you do have to put it on our side of MLS, but we also want to make sure it shows on realtor.ca because the agents it's great for them to see, but we want the public to see it on realtor.ca. So whenever you guys are doing an open house, make sure you double check and make sure you're posting it at least by Thursday. I know Nelson teaches us to don't go too early. We don't want to post it on Monday, Tuesday that we're having an open house because then they might just wait for the open house. So we usually don't encourage you guys to do it until Thursday, Friday to put it on realtor.ca so that people will actually come to it. Okay, this is my favorite thing that I'm going to show you guys. is the toolkit. One thing that I noticed a lot of agents don't have is things ready to go. So it'll be like Friday or Saturday, and we'll get a call from an agent saying, I need directional signs. I'm doing an open house in 2 hours. And we're like, well, clearly that agent did no preparation and they're just showing up with some signs. And we already know right away that that agent did nothing to prepare for this open house. And this is where the systems comes into play. So every single agent should have an open house toolkit, and it should include multiple things. So I highly suggest having unaddressed door hangers. So you'll see here, you're invited to this open house. All you have to do is put your business card in, and you'll see that the location and time is blank. So if I was gonna put open houses into my thing, I would go on Etsy or Vistaprint, whatever, get a stack of these little door hangers that are unaddressed, no like photos on it, nothing. And then when you got your open house, you're gonna either get a sticker that has the address with the time, stick your business card in there, and then you're just quickly doing it. That way you're not every week having to like reprint and go to Vistaprint and put the house and the address and all of that, which I see a lot of agents do, because sometimes you do get a listing next week and it's the last thing on there, and then all of a sudden you don't have a flyer to go invite people. So if I were to do this, I would have this in my toolkit where you've got unaddressed mail, so that every week you know you're going door knocking and you know it's a different address. So get hundreds of these and get them printed. The other thing is you should have, and we have these all ready for you guys too. So it is on the Google Drive, but I would actually have like a folder. You can't really see. I would have a folder in my car on my desk that had like 50 of these open house signs, so that you're not just like every Thursday, you got to come to the office, print out your open or your sign-in sheet. You just have a stack of these always in your car that are ready to go. If you're going to host an open house, it's like the last thing you got to think of. So we have these for you guys on Google Drive. I actually think these are Century 21 Canada. So if you guys are with Century 21 Canada, they actually do have this on the resource center for you too. And then we just print it. So have a bunch of these. One thing that we learned at Realtor Quest too, which we heard from a lot of people, was the paper sign-in sheets is better than the electronic. And the reason for that is because hopefully you have hundreds of people flocking into your open house, and you may have some people that are not digitally okay. And then all these guests are coming in and you're trying to help Sandra over here put her name on the iPad and she can't figure it out. So everyone knows how to write on piece of paper. So I would stick old school this way and have a sign-in sheet that people can sign in. That way we're not screwing around when people are coming in. You're just like, yep, sign in here, sign in here. And then people aren't playing around with technology. Sometimes there's no internet. It might be an internet-based one. Sometimes we don't have the Wi-Fi password. And then you got a hotspot. So keep it simple. Have a bunch of these sign-in sheets ready to go. The other one is, I'm just gonna whip it up, but you guys have access to these. I know my online people can't see these, but we have hundreds of these open house directional signs. They're not beautiful. They're bags on sticks, but these are the best things that you will ever have. I would have these in your car at all times. If you're doing open houses, these should always be in your trunk. Every week, you're just gonna print the address, where it is, what time you're hosting the open house. I would have these before you even host your first open house. We have these at the office, but again, you shouldn't be calling Ginny and Nelson and us at Friday at 3 p.m. saying I'm hosting an open house. I need directional signs. Like, these should just be part of your package. We've got them all set. The girls will set them up, put your names on it, pick them up, put them in your car, and then keep them stored in there forever. Unless you got a nice storage in your garage, but have them stored and ready to go. The other things you guys should have: buyer's guides, seller's guides. These should, again, you should have this folder that just has all the documents that you're going to want. We would always have like a seller's guide ready. This thing sucks. Sorry for my virtual people, but seller's guide and a buyer's guide. And I would only have one of each copy, because I want you to keep it there, but then I want it to encourage them to give you their email address so that you can email it to them, or their mailing address so you can mail it out to them. So this is another opportunity for you to get their contact information. But if you don't have a buyer and seller's guide, I would already have this in your package ready to go. Again, just have your folder with your sign-in sheets, your buyer's guide, your seller's guide. And then the whole goal is hopefully they're like, oh, do you have another buyer's guide? Now you know they're a buyer. Now you can star them and say, okay, invite them to your next buyer session or get the consultation. If they want your seller's guide, then you can offer them a home equity check or go to their house and do a home evaluation. So we should have some different tools for both the buyers and sellers. You should also have, this is the only thing that won't really be in your toolkit, because it's going to be based off of the house that you're going to. So every week, the only real research you're going to be doing is the comparable sales in the area and maybe what houses are also having open houses and some market stats. So this is going to take some research, but I would at least have a template, which you guys do have on Hub 21 C21 Present. If you guys go onto that, throw your comparables on that and just have that ready for you, right? It's good for your knowledge to have, but people are going to ask you about what you think the house is going to sell for. They're going to ask you these details on what's going on in the market. And we don't want to say, oh, the market sucks. The market's great. The market's hot. You should say, oh, we're actually down 13% in this pocket, but as a whole, we're down 20%. So like have some numbers in mind when you're going and just be prepared with that. I do have some questions here. Okay, good. Carly's on this. Thank you. Okay, here's some other necessary. So I think everyone should have a real estate bag. I found mine in my car yesterday because I still have a real estate kit, but I feel like everybody should have a kit at all times in their car for multiple reasons. So if you're doing an open house, you should have a portable Bluetooth speakers and a charger because you're going to be playing music or something at the open house. You should also have pens in there for people to sign in your sheet. So that should be part of your list. The handouts, these will be the only thing that you guys will be printing probably the day of, which is the homes nearby, a neighborhood guide, which you guys have on Hood Q. You guys have all heard of Hood Q? It's a new feature. If you guys go to the listing, you click neighborhood guide, it gives you all the list of schools and everything. Print that, bring that to the open house, have it laid out there. Marketing items. So of course you want to have business cards. Maybe you've got a whole case of water bottles with your branding on it, pens, mints, something to give away that's got your branding on it. Maybe you got a doormat that you bring to every open house that has your branding on it that says welcome, and that stays in your car as well. I brought my emergency kit. Maybe I should turn off my filter for a second. I don't know how to do it. I'm going to take it off for my online people. There we go. Okay, so my online people, I recommend having an emergency kit. Mine's kind of funny. So you should have air fresheners in there. You should have scissors. The amount of times, like we used to like go drop off our riders, our sold riders. I don't know. Sometimes you just need to cut things. You should have tape, which I do have. You should have tape in there. Who knows? You might need to tape something. I had sticky notes telling people like not to use the toilet, lock the door, do something, but have sticky notes in there. Have sanitizer in case you need to wipe down all the knobs. Maybe it's a gross house. This was like COVID times. We even had masks ready to go if our clients needed masks. Zip ties, the amount of zip ties we've used for riders that broke or flew off, these should be in your car. A charger, shower curtain hangers for riders. Do you guys have, what are those other things? These giant poles. I have everything in this kit. Everyone should have a kit. You should have an open house kit box. You've got, remember these like metal poles for riders. Again, shower curtains. These are really great for riders as well to hang them on the bottom of your sign. Maybe you got an open house sign. But again, you guys should all have something. These are all pens for sign-ins. This should be in your car at all times so that when you know you got an open house or somebody breaks something, you should have a first aid kit, hand sanitizer, all that. Everyone should have a kit in their car at all times for emergency purposes. Then you're not calling Nelson asking for zip ties because we've definitely had it before where we were like, do you have a screwdriver? I think I have an Allen key in here too, actually. Like there's a lot. So this is all part of the system, guys. So when I talk about systems, the only thing that you're doing every week that's different is having that handout about that home. Otherwise, you have everything ready to go in your car. And when you show up on Saturday, Sunday, you got your nice little basket and your open house kits ready.
What a rider is.
Oh yeah, riders like the sold, like the rectangle sold sign, or the, maybe you've got your name hanging under a for sale sign and it's like, it's got little holes in it. So I like shower curtains are the best for it versus zip ties. The ones that like clip together, those last really well. So if you guys want, I created a one-page open house checklist. So if you guys want to use your QR code for that, it has a list of all those things I just named. So when you guys are hosting your open houses, you should go through this checklist and make sure that you have all these items ready to go. Give people a couple seconds for it. And if at the end, if you guys didn't get it, just let me know. But this has got just a list of all the things that you need to have ready to go so that your open house system is smooth. So my whole goal is to take a lot of the thinking off your plate so that we can focus on getting people to the home. Okay, another thing is scripts. I get a lot of people that say, well, if I'm going to be door knocking, what do I say? What do I do when I go to the neighbor's house and I have to invite them to my open house? Well, fairly simple. You say, hi, my name is Katelyn Fulton. I'm a Century 21 Percy Fulton. We're hosting an open house at 123 Main Street, Saturday, Sunday, 2 to 4. I just wanted to personally invite you. That's it. There's nothing scary about that. I feel like if you are terrified of door knocking, being like, hey, do you want to sell your house? Do you want to buy a house? Like, what do you want to do? That's terrifying to me. But if you're hosting an open house, this is a really great excuse to now do those prospecting activities that we talk about. And if you're just inviting someone to an open house, the worst they're going to say is like, no, thank you, I'm busy. Cool, you move on to the next one. But this is a very passive way to say, hey, I'm Katelyn. I'm going to be at this house. And then they get to know you. So that's all you're doing. And then if they don't answer, then you've got your door hanger ready to go. You slice it on their door hanger and you move on to the next one. So I would recommend at least doing this 21 houses to the left or the right, 21 houses to the left, 21 in front of you. More would be better, but if you're going to do a minimum, that's what I would do. Perfect. Top producer tip. So I learned this from Cam when he was coming, or when he did our presentation earlier in March, which was book showings at all of the nearby listings for after your open house. So maybe at 5 o'clock, book like 3 or 4 showings. And then if someone at the open house shows up and they say, hey, I actually don't like this house, you'd be like, oh, I'm actually going to take a look at this house, this house, this house. Do you want to come with me? And then you can now invite buyers to come with you. So before the open house, have a bunch of showings booked for afterwards that you can maybe entice some new buyers to come with you for. And then if anything, maybe you're just going on your own and then you're checking out the competition as well. But that was a good tip that we were given on open houses as well. Okay, during the open house, the main event. So day of the open house, you want to allow yourself to prepare. So I would block out this entire day because this is a work day. So we're not just working 2 to 4. We are going to be working like 12 to 6. This is a full work day for you guys. So allow yourself to prepare for it. Dress professionally for your audience. So if you're going to a farmland, you're probably not going to show up in high heels and a suit, right? If you're in a loft, you're probably not going to be in like a tuxedo. So like judge your dress based off your audience. I wouldn't show up in like track pants or anything like that unless you're doing an open house and that's the vibe, but dress accordingly. Collect open houses and recent sales. So before you go, just make sure you know who else in the neighborhood is hosting an open house, what's recently sold. And then of course you want to have your toolkit checklist that I just gave you and make sure you got everything checked off that list. When you arrive, I recommend arriving 1 hour before to set up. So again, we're not showing up at 1:45, put our little signs up and we're sitting. I would show up an hour ahead, ask the seller or tell the sellers I'm showing up at 1 o'clock. I need you out because they're going to want to chit chat with you before the open house. So make sure your clients are out of the house at 1 o'clock or an hour before you're hosting it so that you can get set up. Another tip is do not park in the driveway. Park on the sidewalk or park like on the side of the street later because you want your guests to be allowed to park into the driveway and give them room for it. So don't park in front of the home or not in the driveway, sorry. And then during that hour before the open house, you're going to turn on all the lights, open the blinds, put the toilet seats down, make sure the trash cans are empty, hide your belongings. If you've got like purses, jackets, all that, put it into the front closet, hide everything, unlock the doors because you want people to be able to come in, get your sign-in sheets ready, turn on the music and kind of just set the mood. So give yourself an hour to kind of get set up and get ready so that when people start to come, you're not all flustered because you just got there 5 minutes before the open house. 20 minutes before, you're going to go outside, you're going to put the flag, if you have a flag, you know, those giant ones. I would put the directional signs out. It depends. You can either set up the house, then go put the directional signs out, or on your way to the house, go put the directional signs out, whatever works out best. That means you got to show up even more than an hour before. And with the directional signs, you want to have enough of these signs that someone is driving on the street and they could find that house just by following your signs. Some people may not have it on the plan to go see your open house and didn't check online, but maybe they're driving the area, they see the open house signs and they're like, oh, there's an open house in the area. Let me follow it. That's also why you need to put the address on your open house sign so that if you are, for some reason, someone's walking the dog, maybe they want to go check it out or they're just driving the area, make sure you have the address or the signs literally can drive you there. So don't just put up a couple signs and like pray they make it. Get like 12 of these things and get them on every major intersection and then guide them there. Depending on the rules, there are some cities that do not allow these directional signs. Ajax is one of them. So make sure, maybe call us beforehand. I think Ajax is the only one, is that right? That doesn't allow the directional signs, right? But you can have a giant flag in front of it. Pickering does not allow you to have a flag in front of the house. So make sure you know the rules. But yeah, Pickering is one of the weird ones. And then again, 20 minutes before, post a social media video, go on your stories, do a Facebook Live, something, be like, hey guys, I'm at my open house today from this time to this time, come on by. So again, you're doing some extra promotion before. Okay. During the open house. So consider yourself the host of the home. So you want to make sure everyone feels welcome. They're coming in, you're friendly. You're not just like, hey, sign in here, like making yourself feel like a miserable host, like welcome to the house, sign in. Let's not do that. Let's like go talk to them, actively engage with them, shake their hand, give them a firm handshake. And I'm going to give you guys some different scripts that you guys can talk about other than, hi, take a look or have a look around and sign in here. Like it seems so weird when you're like sign in. So I'm going to give you guys some conversation points to talk about before you get them to sign in, or at least make them feel comfortable with you. And it's not just like, hey, are you looking to buy a house? Are you working with an agent? Like that's always, I feel like the questions, and that just puts them up against the wall right away when you ask them if they're working with an agent right away. Like let them breathe a little bit and get them in. Because again, most people are actually going to lie about having an agent because they don't want you to talk to them. So just assume no one has an agent. We talked about this a bit on Monday. They don't have an agent unless they physically signed a contract. And if they haven't put in an offer yet, there's a high chance they have not actually signed a contract with someone. So they're just saying they have an agent, which just means they've got a family or friend that is an agent and that's their agent. So don't let that turn you off either. I also wouldn't sit when they come in. I would be standing probably in the kitchen or in the main room, like wherever they can see you right away. Don't lean on the furniture. Don't be on your phone talking. I've been to open houses where the agent's on the phone and I feel like they think that makes them look like they're like this busy, successful agent. I think it's rude. So put your phone away when people are coming. Don't be on your Instagram and scrolling, like put your phone aside during that time. Use this or don't use it for other work. Don't have your laptop out and you're doing offers and all that, unless no one's in the house, of course, but try not to like look like this is the worst day of your life. Chewing gum, all that stuff, very normal things. If you're doing more talking than them, you're not doing it right. So if you're just talking about yourself and how great you are and your team and all that, and you learn nothing about where this person lives, why they're buying, have they been qualified, all that. If you don't know anything about those people, then you're doing it wrong. So let's talk about Ford. Have you guys heard about the Ford strategy before? Anyone not? Okay. So Ford is how you guys can start conversation. So if you're one of those people that's like, I don't know what to talk to strangers about, I'm awkward. Like for me, I'm a super introvert as well. So having small talk with people terrifies me. So Ford is a really great way just to get to know people. So it stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So instead of when people come in and you're just like, are you working with an agent? Sign in here, blah, blah, blah. Be like, oh, hey, like, welcome. Do you live in the area? Do you have family here? How long have you lived here for? Do you have children? Are you looking for a home that can accommodate your growth? What do you do for work? Do you work from home? Do you commute? What do you guys do for fun? Are you guys looking for somewhere close to the pickleball courts? Like, what do you like? Start to have conversation, ask. You can see these are all questions, right? Dreams, like what's your dream home look like? Are there specific features you guys are looking for in a home? What are your goals? So if we're stuck on what to talk about with these people and they don't really want to talk about the home, get to know them a little bit more. Write down some notes beside them too, or like a star if you had a good conversation and stuff like that. But this is, again, when we were at Realtor Quest, we learned that this was a great way to get to know people. And it gets them talking more and more. And then you start to get them to open up. They're comfortable with you. You're building rapport so that when you call to do your follow-ups, they're not like, who was that person? Like, who did I connect with? But this is also a great script to use when you guys are calling like your database and you don't know what to do when you're trying to call past clients and figure out what they're doing. Go by the Ford method: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Got some questions on here. Oh, yeah. How do we handle someone if you feel uncomfortable letting them enter? Call the cops. I don't know. Don't let them in. Lock the door. There is some safety rules though, for sure, that you guys want to be aware of. I wouldn't walk the house with a stranger, especially if you're a female. Do not tour the home with them. Let these people tour on their own. If you are touring with them, always let that person walk in front of you, not behind you. You never want to be in a room and then have them have access to a door to lock you in. A basement, don't go in a basement first. Like, always let them go ahead of you. Just safety reasons. Let your family, friends know where you're at. Have your GPS on, all those great things. How to wow your open house. So there's a lot of things. So some of our agents were getting really creative. I think it was almost too early that we were doing them, but having ice cream trucks and stuff like that. But I think if you guys want to host a real event and you guys really get used to your systems, knowing that, okay, I'm going to be hosting an open house every other weekend, and you know you're going to be doing that, try to come up with something different and creative, especially if it's a house that you know a lot of people are going to come to, whether it's a luxury house, maybe it's really priced aggressively, it's something that you know people are going to come to. Maybe have things such as ice cream trucks. Maybe it's a catered event. If it's a more like luxury one, you've got caterers coming in. A cotton candy stand would be really cool if you've got like a little cotton candy twirly thing for the kids. Backyard barbecues. Maybe this house has a really awesome backyard that you want to feature and you want to have a barbecue. You can do giveaways, put those on your invites too to get people to come. A food truck would be really cool if you've got some sort of, I don't know, like a poutine truck, beaver tails, stuff like that. And giveaways and contests, but cater it to who you think will come. Like, I wouldn't have like a cotton candy stand where you don't think kids are going to be coming to it, or like family friendlies. I wouldn't have a catered event if there is kids coming. I would do it like if it's like a nighttime open house. So when you guys are hosting open houses, I feel like a really cool way to get people to come is if there's some sort of reason to get them there. The ice cream truck's always great because when you're doing your door knocking, you can give them like tickets. Say, hey, if you come to my open house, come inside. I'm going to give you a ticket afterwards and you can go get ice cream. So whether they liked the house or not, it's giving you an excuse to be in front of these people. The kids get some ice cream. You got to know the parents. They're going to talk to you for a little bit and then they continue. And then you hopefully can get their contact information or at least address and stuff like that. But really great opportunity if you got a food truck out there and the neighbors are all flocking towards it and you're there kind of saying hello as well. You might need 2 people for that case, but these are different ideas that you guys can do if you want to really up your open house game. The neighbors are going to catch on and be like, oh my gosh, look how many people they got to their open house. Like, I want to hire that agent to list my home. Like, look at all these people here. I think Shiv had like 150 people to his ice cream truck one time, like wild. So I would do stuff like that where you know, like you're going to get some people in. I know we had some guys do some ice cream trucks in like April, but it was like snowing the day that it happened. So we might have to play around with the timing and stuff for all that. But these are some really great ideas if you want to really up it. If someone doesn't want to sign the sheet, I mean, you can't force them to. I would let them know, like, hey, I'm not going to call you. It's just for security purposes. Like, you're literally in somebody's house. Like, why, if you're a stranger coming into somebody else's home, you should sign in the sheet. That's rude if you don't, I think. Like, you want to come into some stranger's home, but you don't want to put your name on it. Like, but I know we're all passive and we would probably just let them go in anyway. So I would just let it happen, but I don't know. It's rude. So these are common questions that I would prepare yourselves for. So if say it's not your listing, it's another agent's listing, these are the questions that a lot of buyers or sellers are going to ask you. So I would be familiar with these questions if you're doing a property that's not yours and you're not familiar, or I would be familiar with it if it is your listing. So they're going to ask you, how long has it been on the market? What's the square footage is a very popular question, especially with condos. So I would print off that $5, $9 report, get that square footage because it sounds more professional when you're like, oh, it's 1,232 square feet. And they're like, okay, great. They really know this house versus being like, oh, I actually don't know. So like, it's okay to say I don't know, but if you know that these are going to be common questions, I would have these already memorized. How old is the home? How big is the lot? What's the neighborhood like? What schools are in the area? What are the property taxes? What are the utilities? Or there have been any recent repairs or renovations? What are your price expectations? I'm sure you'll get that. And why are the owners selling? Of course, you're probably not going to answer why are the owners selling, but these are questions you're going to get asked. So I would just have these prepared because a lot of people are like worried about, well, what if they ask me questions? These are the most of the questions they're going to ask you. They're not going to ask you much more else. Other than the market, they might ask you as well, but these are very common questions that you're going to get. So I would have these already prepared. Maybe you're just printing yourself a sheet. You don't have to like give these out, but have like a fact sheet ready for yourself. So if you don't memorize it, you can at least look down and be like, okay, this is when the AC was replaced. This is when the furnace was replaced. Actually, I didn't even add that. Yes, I did. Recent repairs. So yeah, talk about windows, furnace, AC. They're going to ask you about those things. Okay, any questions on the event? No? All right, let's talk about the follow-up, which is the most important part afterwards, because what I find, how many of you guys have sign-in sheets in your car with a bunch of names on it and it's just crinkled up somewhere and you did nothing with it, right? Or it's in a folder like this and it's just there and you never looked at it ever again because you're like, nah, they had an agent. Ugh, they didn't like the house. Forget it. For sure, we had those. So I want you guys, when you're doing open houses, let's do a better effort of actually making sure we have a good follow-up. I guess we're going to talk about let's do the turn down service first though. Okay, turn down service. We're going to take down the flags, go back. I would take down the open house flag if you have one in front right at 4 o'clock because you know you're going to get those stragglers coming in unless you want them to come in. But during this time, you're going to clean up the home, pack up your open house registry, wipe down the counters, doorknobs, make it presentable when the sellers come back home. They want to feel like no one was in their home. Close all the curtains, remove trash from the kitchen. If a kid was sitting in the bed, maybe like spread it out a little bit. Need a little sweep. Actually, that's another thing you should have in your emergency kit, a Swiffer. The amount of times we've had to Swiffer front halls after like an open house just to clean it up a little bit. Turn off the lights, lock the doors, and then return the key to the lockbox. So very simple turn down service. Buyer tours. So remember we talked about booking those buyer tours. So after the open house, you may text or call those buyers that said, hey, I actually do want to go see those houses. Give them a call. Say, hey, we're going to go meet them. And then you're going to go check out a couple of houses with those people that came to your open house and take them through some private showings with you. Or maybe you're going on yourself. Okay, after the open house, call your seller, give them an update, keep it positive. Don't say, oh, they hated the house, it was crap, blah, 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 no one showed up, something like that. That's always embarrassing when you have to call your seller and say nobody came and you were there for like 2 hours just sitting in their house doing nothing. But give them a call or text, say, hey, great open house. These were some of the positive comments, et cetera, et cetera. Take a photo of your sign-in sheets. So before you throw them into your car, take a photo of them so that you have it on your phone, and then call and text every single visitor as soon as possible. And I would say from the open houses, you should have feedback by 9 p.m. on Sunday. So don't wait for Monday to do your follow-ups. They've already forgotten about it. They were calling it the kiss of death in the presentation we saw. If you guys wait for Monday, they're already back to work and it's hard to convert them into a client if you wait that long. They've already forgotten about the open house. So give them a call, say, hey, actually I do have a script for you guys for this one. You're going to have a lot of people that are saying they're just looking and they're not going to admit that they're actual buyers and sellers. They're just going to say, oh, I'm just looking. Like we do that all the time. When you're going to look at shoes, you're going clothes shopping, you always, I'm just looking, right? But really, no, I know exactly I'm looking for a pink blazer for this event, but I don't want to tell you, I'm just looking around. So they're going to do the same thing when they're looking at houses. So most guests do have an intention to do something, right? Like no one's just going open house shopping for fun. Most people are either in the very beginning of their buying phases and they're just scoping out. They may not be doing something today, but they will do something in the next year or so. And this is where the follow-up is going to be really important for you guys. But just because they're saying I'm just looking or I have a real estate agent, I would think they're all liars, to be honest, because why aren't they at that showing with their agent? Why aren't they doing private showings? If they're sellers or neighbors, like, I don't know, do you guys go into your neighbors' homes? Maybe because you're real estate agents. I wouldn't, but if I wasn't looking to sell, maybe not. But think of them all as liars and follow up with them all. You're leaving equity on the table if you lack follow-up. So this is where a lot of agents also fail, is by not following up because they said they're working with an agent or they're just looking, so then they just don't bother doing anything. So one of the scripts that you could do, you could say, hey, Bob, this is Katelyn calling from Century 21. I hope you're doing well. I just want to thank you for attending the open house at 123 Main Street on Saturday. I hope you enjoyed it. I just wanted to follow up to see if you went to other open houses. And then you're going to ask them how you ranked. And this was a script, again, that we learned in this presentation. Instead of saying, hey, did you like this house? Do you want to buy this house? Typically, if they're going to that open house, they may have attended some other open houses. So you're actually just doing like a little bit of research. You're just saying, hey, how did we rank against those other houses? Now you're finding out more. The back's not against the wall. They don't feel like you're calling them to buy that house. They're like, oh, that house was crap. Your house was much better for this. They will start to open up about the other houses because you're not asking them if they're buying or selling. You're just asking if they went to other open houses and how yours compared to them. Then you can say, you have your little chit chat. They like you. If you're interested, we could schedule a private showing if they liked that house. So you can take a closer look, or if that property is not for you, I'd be happy to help you find something else that better fits your needs. So again, remember, if they don't want to buy that house, let's try to see if we can find them something else that better fits them. Or if they were a seller, you could say, if you're interested, we could schedule an equity check and I could come give you a home evaluation. So again, your whole goal is to see them again and get an appointment to convert them into something. But start off with saying if they went to other open houses and seeing how you guys ranked against them. So based on what you learned from them, put them in your CRM, right? We all have CRMs that we're using, right? What are you guys using right now for CRMs? Like Hub 21? I know we use Hub 21. Does anyone use like Follow Up Boss, Excel? Excel, okay. I'm okay with Excel as long as something's there, right? Easy to read. So we want to put them in your CRM, and then we want to automate some sort of follow-up. So I would still put them on a newsletter, like get them on, you guys all have like that market stats newsletter, you got neighborhood news, you've got seasonal maintenance. There's so many newsletters you guys can set them up on. So put them in your CRM and then put them on to some sort of drip campaign. Like I said, if you got 30 to 40 people coming to each of your open houses, you're going to have 30 to 40 people every week that you're going to add to your database and add to your newsletter. And hopefully 10% of those people are going to do something with you. So don't forget, after your open house on the Monday, whatever date it is, put them on your CRM and then follow up with them. Because again, in 12 months, they may actually do something. So here's a sample schedule. So if I were going to make this my entire business model, open houses is my pillar. This is how I get business. This is exactly how I would set up my schedule. So on Monday to Wednesday, I would spend those days finding an open house. So I'd be like looking at the brokerage emails coming through. I'd be on MLS. I'd be seeing which one of our agents has an open house, or maybe you have an open house. But Monday to Wednesday, your whole goal is to search for an open house. Sometimes listings go up on Thursday, so you might actually hit it on Thursday, but hopefully you have it before then. Thursday and Friday, I talked to Ginny about this. Thursday and Friday, one or the other or both should be on the door knocking and inviting the neighbors to come to the open house or online as well, because who knows, Thursday might be raining, Friday may be sunny, right? Or opposite. So I know we all don't want to door knock when the weather is bad. So if you know Thursday or Friday is when you're going to be inviting people to the open house, you're dedicating those 2 days to that. No, I would just door knock. Because if we start to get too strategic on what time, you're not going to do it. I think whenever you're available, go hit some doors, right? No one ever really wants to see anybody at their door, if I'm honest. Like, do you guys like to see people knock on your doors? Probably not. So I don't know if there's ever really a good time. But if they don't answer the door, then you've got those door hangers. So that whole time you're just going to do those door hangers. I would spend Monday to Wednesday writing the addresses out, getting it all set. So Thursday, Friday is where you're going to do the promotion. And then Saturday, Sunday is when the big event is, your buyer tours and your follow-up. So Sunday nights, you should have all of your people followed up with by 9 p.m. on Sunday. And then you're going to do it all over again Monday. So what I see the most people, what they do is they find the open house Thursday or Friday. And then they just show up Saturday, Sunday. They forget the whole like preparation phase. I've also heard of people door knocking Saturday, Sunday to invite them. I don't even think I would do that. I think that's too rushed because I think you're still got to show up an hour early. You got to put your directional signs out. If you didn't do the door knocking Thursday, Friday, then yes, before the open house. But I think it's better to have at least a day or two to invite the neighbors to come over versus the day of, because they might already have plans that day anyways. So I would do that. Is that against what you guys would say? Maybe no. Yeah. So day of, if you didn't do it Thursday, Friday, but what I would do every other weekend or every weekend, this is your schedule. So if you're sitting around, you're like, I don't know what to do with my time. Business is slow. I don't know what to do. This is exactly your schedule. So if you guys aren't the whole like 9 to 12, I'm going to be prospecting kind of thing, you're going to be doing marketing and prospecting all within this whole system. Plus you're meeting new people, plus you're adding people to your database every week. So this is exactly why I think that open house is a really great business strategy for people that don't have much more other things happening, or when you have your own listing as well. Okay, so things you can do now. So again, number one, start scheduling open houses Saturdays and Sundays at a minimum. Number two is to get names, emails, phone numbers of as many people as you can. And then three, follow up. Sorry. So a house is a big ticket item. So we do need to be patient, guys. These people aren't just going to buy a house straight from you from your open house unless they've been shopping for a while. But just know that this is going to be part of a bigger system that requires a lot more follow-up. So be patient with this process as well. It will turn out, but it will take some time. And then you're going to do it again, which is what Claire always tells us. So that was the system. Got you right through the prep, the event and the follow-up, and then you're going to do it again. And then you're going to do it again, and then you're going to do it again. So it's nothing sexy. It's nothing cute, nothing fun. You can make it sexy and cute and fun, but it's a really great strategy. Very traditional strategy. Okay, any questions? Okay.
Open house, how can they identify your relationship to the buyer? What's your script if you're hosting it for someone?
I would just say I'm on their team. If I was hosting another agent's open house, I'd just say, yep, I'm on their team. Most of the time, they're not even going to ask, to be honest, unless they know they're going for that agent that's at the open house, or they see some girls' faces on the sign and that's a guy inside. But I would just say, yep, we're on a team together. I'm here to rep the buyers. Oh my God, I didn't even see you there, Michael. You're literally behind a pole right now in front of me. But that's what I would say.
And then if you go to equity check, someone just wanted a clarification.
So an equity check is really just a fancy way of saying a listing presentation. It's really just, hey, do you want me to see how much equity you have in your home? It's really just there to tell them what their house is worth. So I would just call it an equity check. If you're really fancy, you could even have a QR code set up on a sign in the open house where people can go to your website, put their address in and request one, or you can just do it on the spot. But an equity check is also just like a listing presentation.
You can see the slide with the follow-up.
Yeah, let's see. There's the follow-up script. So yeah, you can do any scripts. I think it's really good. Like Monday we talked about having scripts and just knowing what to say and all of that. So I think it is important to have a follow-up script. I wouldn't get even too fancy about it. You could literally just say, hey, you went to my open house, just wanted to see if you had any interest in it. No. Do you want to buy something very similar? And then just get them in the conversation. But I did like the idea that we learned last week about asking them first if they went to other open houses, because then at least they're going to open up, because you're not like putting them on a spot on if they're going to buy or sell with you. You're just opening the door for a different conversation that they probably weren't expecting. If they don't pick up your phone call, I would text them, I would email them, and then try again. Like they may not pick up right away either.
What will be the fix?
I actually, as much as I am against calling people, I would call after an open house follow-up, because I think it's an easy follow-up. They went to your house, you met them, give them a call. If they didn't, then I would follow up with a text message. And then I would put them in my CRM. Then I'd put them on all my email drip campaigns. And then I would follow up with them like every quarter probably. And I would even on your CRMs, guys, I would have, you know how you can categorize all your clients? Like buyers, sellers, past clients. I would have like an open house tag for these people, put what open house they went to. And then just follow up with your open house people every month, like set aside a time where you're just following up with people that came to your open houses, see if they're still looking to buy, if they're looking to sell. Maybe it's like open house neighbor, open house buyer, something like that. But I would have a tag for these people so that you can really categorize them as well. Good, good. Okay, that's all I've got. Any other questions from my live? Michael, do you have any tips and tricks? I know you've been doing really well at open houses.
I try not to talk about that. And like I try to go in like lighthearted and fun.
Lighthearted and fun.
Every single I've been to agents like in a suit, he's like stark and he's bold and I don't want to.
Yeah, so Michael's saying like be friendly. Like I said, like dress professional, but yeah, like I wouldn't roll up in a suit if I'm in like Olive. If I'm in like like Olive Avenue, I wouldn't be in a full tuxedo. I would wear jeans and a normal outfit, right? So when you're dressing for your open houses, just pay attention to what the neighborhood is. If you're doing luxury, yes, you're gonna want to upscale. You might even let people wear their shoes in the house because it's a different type of house, right? If it's a farm, you're probably gonna be in like farm clothes. So dress accordingly. And yeah, like act friendly, be presentable. Don't be sitting when people come in the door. Ask how they're doing. What's that? Unless it's a crack house.
No, I like to crack jokes.
Oh, Michael likes to crack jokes. Michael also knows how to take advantage of when he's not doing anything in open house, he likes to film TikToks of him dancing in kitchens. So if you guys don't have any guests coming, then maybe give yourself some tasks as well. Be like, okay, if it's dead, use that time to follow up with some past clients, use that time to like do other tasks that are on your list because it's a work day anyway. So if you do notice that things are quiet, then take that time to like do some work as well. Yes.
After open house, what is it normally good? I mean, as long as timeline goes, Saturday, Sunday is open house, people try to put the offer on Tuesday, so that Monday is a breathing time.
It depends. It really depends on when they list it. Like if they're holding offers and stuff.
Yeah.
Are you asking if you should hold it?
Saturday, Sunday is open house, so
yeah.
Should the offer date be Monday, Tuesday?
I think, yeah, I don't personally like when people do offer nights on weekends. I don't know. I think, or even Mondays even, because then they're just getting back from work. They need to talk to their mortgage broker. They need to talk to the bank. I do like offer nights on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. I find those are the best days because yeah, they get a chance to like talk to the people they need to talk to. Some mortgage companies aren't open on weekends. Some don't, some just get back one day. So I would do offer dates Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, depending on what date you listed it. Because you want to give it a whole week, right?
And one more is when you come across a situation where client don't want to stay in the house, they say our house is in good condition.
When they don't want to stage, yeah.
And but they still want the open house, and you are not comfortable because you know that it's not in.
Because it's not a beautiful presentation. I would still do it. Yeah. So the question was, if the house isn't nice and it's not staged, would you still do an open house? I would. Yep. Because you're gonna meet the neighbors still and all that. Yeah, it's not in the best presentation, but hopefully it's clean at least. Hopefully it's not messy. If it's really messy, I don't know if I would host an open house. Like if there's tenants that are living there, probably wouldn't. But if it's clean and not like if it's a grandma house, yes. Like Scarborough, people love that stuff. So in fact, you can probably see a house better when it's not staged. They can get to see the real side of it. Well, Claire, what's our policy on hosting other brokerages open houses? I'm gonna put you on the spot. We wouldn't do it. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Okay, awesome. So this is recorded, guys. So I will have this recording up on our YouTube channel that you guys can watch later. And if you guys have any questions, just feel free to reach out to me. You guys have that checklist and all that. So hopefully you guys downloaded that and we'll have that ready to go. But yeah, we'll catch up with you guys soon. I'm gonna end this one.